Okay, let's take a look at solving quadratic expressions that can't be factored. And one way we're going to solve this is by completing the square. So recall that we can complete the square by adding 1/2 b squared when a is equal to 1. But you can notice here that in this quadratic expression in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, you can notice here that a here is 4. Okay, so you actually have to factor out the 4 first. So you have 4x squared minus 16x minus 3 is equal to 0. I only really need my a and my b value, right? So I'm going to factor out a 4 here, so you get x squared minus 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. Now that a is equal to 1, I can just work with this guy. So a here is equal to 1, and what we need to do here is we need to add 1/2 b squared. So b here is negative 4, 1/2 b is equal to negative 2, and 1/2 b squared is equal to negative 2 squared, which is 4. Okay, so within this giant square bracket, I'm going to add 4. So I'm going to get x squared minus 4x plus 4, but I can't just add 4 to an expression. I can't really just add anything to an expression without some kind of ramification to the entire expression. It'll change it. So what I want to do here is I want to subtract out the 4, so it kind of just nullifies it. And I have the negative 3 on the outside. So basically, the 1/2 b squared term plus your a and b values will form a perfect squared trinomial. So this forms a perfect squared trinomial. We can factor a perfect squared trinomial in the form of x plus 1/2 b squared, right? So in this case, 1/2 b here is, we wrote this down, it's negative 2, right? So we can replace this perfect squared trinomial that I underlined here as x minus 2 squared. Okay, so all of this is basically this, minus 4 minus 3 is equal to 0. Now what I want to do here is I want to collect the like terms, but the first thing, before I can actually do that, I'm going to distribute this guy out. So I'm just going to move this guy here. So when you distribute it out, you get 4 times x minus 2 squared. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. Okay, minus 3. Okay, so now I can actually collect these two once I've expanded it out. And in this case, you get 4 times x minus 2 squared. Negative 16 minus 3 is negative 19 is equal to 0. Okay, so once I have that, I want to solve for x. So you're basically half done. I'm going to move the 19 to this side, so you get 4 times x minus 2 squared is equal to 19. And then I'm going to divide by 4 because I want to solve for x. So I'm just going to get rid of the 4 on the outside here. I'm going to do the same thing to this side, so it cancels out. We get x minus 2 squared is equal to 19 over 4. To solve for x, I'm going to square root it first. Right, so when you square root it, the square and the square root cancel out. You get x minus 2 is equal to plus minus, right, square root 19 over square root 4, which is basically plus minus square root 19 over 2, right? And in this case, x can be equal to plus minus square root 19 over 2 plus 2. So the plus minus indicates that there's 2 answers, but you can leave your answer like this, basically. And that's how you can solve this equation, by completing the square.